Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning to everyone. Welcome to our 17th session of webinar series brought to you by the Faculty of Engineering, University Technology Malaysia. As usual, we are initiating university industry collaboration platform with our leaders of enterprise to share their thought, way forward challenges, especially during this COVID-19. So yeah, now we are streaming live from Facebook Faculty of Engineering, University Technology Malaysia. So today we have our special speaker from GKN Aerospace. Please welcome. I would like to introduce Mr. Azli Haji Norali, the Director of Human Resource, GKN Aerospace. Assalamualaikum, Mr. Azli.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Prof.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much for asking. Hoping the same to you, Professor.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, you're looking good today. First of all, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. So yeah, it is our privilege to have you today with us. And to our viewers today, Mr. Azli will share with us something related to the work life. His title is on preparing for the work life in aerospace. So yeah, before that, Encik Azli, allow me to ask you a few questions. Maybe the viewer would like to get to know you well, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you can share with us a little bit about your life, your education before you, yeah,
Thank you,
before
Prof.
you work.
So,
Yeah, yeah,
first and foremost, Assalamualaikum and very good morning to all listeners and viewers in this session. And I am actually privileged to receive the invitation from UTM. I have been actually invited by Professor Aimi for quite some time. Unfortunately, I was not able to find the time to fit into my schedule. But Alhamdulillah,
okay,
the end of 2020 provide me some room, and I allocated the time I am available to spare with UTM. So my background, I'm a HR practitioner for the last 30 years. I've been in various industries over these 30 years, from heavy engineering to chemicals, to biotechnology, electronics, and now in aerospace. I'm not a core aerospace person. However, I've been in aerospace over the last 3, 4 years now, maybe, and this is something which is has always been on the top of my career wish list. I want to be in aerospace simply because for me, from a layman perspective, it's very sexy industry because it provides you with
that's right.
technology,
Yeah,
provides you with challenges, it provides you with high expectations. So, and that's the reason why I happily accepted GCAN Aerospace proposal about 2 years ago. So I've my line of study. I started in ITM Shah Alam in late 80s in insurance actually. So I've
okay,
moved to human resource, not practically by choice, but it is something different. And as I started doing human resource back in the early 1990s, it was
yeah,
a totally mind-blowing experience because different with all the other aspect of businesses, HR is involving people. And
yes.
I recall a statement given to me by one engineer once. He told me that he prefers to manage 10 machines than 10 people. So, so yeah, managing
Yeah,
people is a
absolutely right.
challenge.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Encik Azli. Yeah. I think you also further study in masters specific in which area, Azli? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. So I extended my study in business management. So I took up my master's with Honolulu University in Hawaii. So that was a long
Mm.
distance learning back in 1990. So the young generations, they are more I would say privileged because education is easily available to them. In my days, it's very difficult to get such high quality education. It's very expensive. So
Yes.
it was an experience for me to understand both worlds, but that actually set the line for me in terms of capability, in terms of competency, how to work around multinational company. So I'm not
Yeah.
saying that overseas uh, papers and certificates are better than local, but it's just the experience that you get. I'll share later about my experience on
Yeah.
how I interview students from Malaysian students who studied in Europe and in America compared to those who studied in Malaysia.
Yes, yes, it will be interesting later. Yeah, T. Azli, Mr. Azli, you now maybe people would like to know more about your company GKN Aerospace, probably some background of the company. I mean the parent company, whether it's been in other country and global country, or now it's been set up in Malaysia, yeah, in Nusa Jaya, yeah, Johor Bahru, yeah.
Yeah, we are located
Yeah.
in Nusajaya Tech Park in Iskandar Putri.
Yeah, probably you can give some uh, how this GKN being set up here in Johor Bahru.
Well, first and foremost, GKN is a very seasoned business platform in the world. They have been in operation, I think, for more than 250 years.
Wow, 250
GKN moved,
years.
yeah, GKN moved into aerospace roughly about 60 to 80 years ago through acquisitions, and currently we are among the top two leading suppliers in the aerospace industry. And GKN selected Malaysia as for its first blade repair facility in Asia. Currently, the blade repair facility is centered only at San Diego in North America, and all our customers send the blades to San Diego. But
San Diego.
if you are someone who are from Malaysia or from Japan or from China, to send your aircraft blades to San Diego is a very huge logistic task and very costly. So GKN see the opportunity of the growth of aerospace in Asia and decided to have its base in Malaysia.
Wow. It will be interesting to hear more about this GKN after this, Mr. Azli. So I think without further ado, I pass to you to share with us your presentation today on the preparing for a work life in aerospace. Over to you, Mr. Azli.
Thank you. Thank you again to Professor Suhaimi and the UTM team for allowing me the time to share with all of you about GKN and also about the expectation about working in aerospace world. What I will share in the next roughly between 30 to 40 minutes in two parts. One is about who GKN is and what we do in Malaysia. And the second part is about what to expect working in the aerospace industry. So let me start by sharing with you a video, our corporate video from GKN Aerospace.
We make things fly. Our engineers create the technology aircraft depend on, and we make things fly better, exploring new technology to make parts lighter, slimmer, smarter. We're busy improving performance and efficiency of today's aircraft, and innovating to make tomorrow's aircraft safer, faster, greener. We're evolving aerodynamics, designing more efficient units, advanced aerostructures with advanced materials and technologies. Our anti-leak systems help control such elements. We're re-engineering transparency to understand performance and manufacturing, and cutting waste with advanced fabrication and assembly techniques. And then there's the heart of the aircraft, its engine. Our system got power and next generation fighter, and provide for and maintenance and services to be high. Together with our customers and partners, we're working towards a shared vision, make our project we use the changes can improve production. Always simplification, strive for excellence, touch on every aspect of their life, and drive our technology to meet these challenges. Changing their assets, making things smart.
So thank you very much. That's a presentation on GKN Aerospace Group. And we are divided actually into three different business lines, as we call ourselves. So the first is actually the civil airframe, and which is about 47% of our business. And then we have engines for the whole set, from the MRO, from the components repair and so on. That's about 32% of our business, and 1/3 of it goes to defense, which is actually a very, very strong contributor to the business in GKN Aerospace. So our sales across 2019, last year, was around 3.85 billion pound. So obviously that's impacted this year due to the COVID-19 situation. And we have a balanced global footprint across the globe. We have currently 48 performance centers crossing Europe, North America, and Asia. And Asia is our largest growth market as forecasted for last year, and we still believe that it is still remain the largest growth market, especially for markets in China. And we are currently the global number 2 by revenue in aerostructures and engines. As you can see from our sales to our customer lines, including of people from Airbus, Boeing, Lockheed, GE, Rolls-Royce, Honeywell, and others. So what's the difference about GKN compared to other aerospace players in the market? We are driven by technology. As you can see from our short video, we focus on innovation, we focus on what's next, and this is what drives GKN business. We invest heavily on technology and technology differentiator. We have developed a technology center in UK that was opened this year, and this is part of the the Airbus Wing of Tomorrow program, and also we move into additive manufacturing in part of our manufacturing capabilities. So focusing on future, we invested a lot on technology, as I shared earlier. This is to improve sustainability. We focuses on additive manufacturing, on advanced materials, on the airframe and aerodynamic efficiency, on the engine efficiency. There are a lot of new materials being used in aircraft nowadays, more composite materials, more lighter materials used to ensure that there are less and less use of carbon fuel. And we increases our global footprint with new investments, new centers in Asia, in China, in India, and also in Malaysia. And we have also developed new R&D centers the last 2 years in UK, in Sweden, in Netherlands, and in North America. So the site in Malaysia belongs to the engines division, as I shared earlier. So engines is currently the world's leading technology supplier for high-performance engine components to the major aerospace industry players. So welcome to GKN Engine System Component Repair Sdn Bhd, in short ESCR. We are located at the Nusajaya Technology Park, or NTP, and the site was established back in 2018. The site is still under development, installation of equipment. We are currently almost 90% completion for the facility. The Malaysian investment or project is at the moment focuses on Part 145 component repair. So we are a Part 145 aviation repair station, and to be in short, is the MRO activities. So for an MRO facility, there are a lot of significant differences as compared to a manufacturing facility, for example. So an MRO facility will require certification from the Aviation Authority Body. For Malaysia, for example, is the Civil Aviation of Malaysia, or CAM. And if globally, you can easily get the American FAA or the Federation of Aviation Authority. And from Europe, you have EASA, the European Aerospace Agency, and then all the other countries have their own aviation agencies. So in aviation, if as the MRO service provider, if you're going to service components or parts of an aircraft belonging to a particular country, we are required to obtain the country's own aviation authority's approval. So, and this is where we are heading towards for the GKN in Malaysia. So we have been certified by CAM and also by FAA this year. So that's a very, very big major booster for us. So we expect to receive more certification from the other aviation authorities the next 12 months. So in our facility, we will be doing services for the CFM 56 5B, 7B engines, and also the V2500 fan blade overhaul. So what is significant about GKN investment in Malaysia? This is the first of an Industry 4.0 facility developed by GKN Aerospace anywhere in the world. So we are privileged as Malaysian. I'm very, very proud, and we are privileged that GKN wanted to invest this kind of technology in Malaysia. While they can actually pick somewhere else, they can go to Singapore, they can go to Thailand, they can go to anywhere else, but they pick Malaysia because I believe that they have high confidence of our capability, they have confidence of our people, they have confidence of what we can deliver towards the business. So what is being introduced into our MRO operation is an EB well equipment. So this might not be new, but we're actually acquiring an Industry 4.0 level of equipment, which is meant that the machines are thinking on their own pretty much. It's like having your iPhone or your Samsung on the shop floor. You tell the machine what to do, and then it just do by itself. So that's what is interesting, and the technological change that we bring towards into Malaysia. And our team are comprising of mainly engineers and also technical technicians who are trained, educated, and certified via their aerospace program. So this can be your aerospace engineering graduates. This can be the graduates of MIAT, for example, from MATA previously, from the School of Certified Competence Learning. And being an MRO facility, competency is highly critical because these are assurance that the repair station is competent to perform tasks. So what does Part 145 repair station means? This is an organization that involved in the maintenance of large aircraft and commercial air transport and components intended for the fitment into the aircraft. So that is what we do. So basically we do overhaul, we do repairs, we do inspection, we do replacement, modification, and defect rectification to an aircraft or its component. So for the Malaysian facility, we do not have the whole aircraft in our shop floor. So we receive the components of the engines, and this is the platform, the fan disc, the blade itself that's going to be repaired and overhauled in our facility. So requirement for a Part 145 repair station, the facility must be able to protect against environmental and contamination for the aviation components. The environment must be appropriate for the task and must not impair effectiveness of personnel. It must be secured and appropriate storage condition. and the office accommodation for engineers to study technical data. This is something that actually cut out from the FAA requirement, and so as you can see, engineers have a special place in FAA heart. So they specifically require that the engineers have a special place for them to work, for them to study their technical data. But interestingly, it is an important factor for engineers, especially because they are the people who actually drive the business and the operation. This is our local management team. So the site is actually headed by Mr. Fergus Lopez. He's the VP GM for our Asia operation, and down under him we have all the Malaysian managers. Our milestone, as I mentioned earlier, we started in 2018. We registered and hired our first employee. So I am Malaysian employee number 1. Mr. Fergus is our first employee. And we sent our employees to several locations across the globe to familiarize with the aviation and aerospace business. So we have in 2019 sent about 37 of our technicians to El Cajon to be trained to have their on-job training for about 2 to 3 months for them to acquire the hours they need to be qualified in their role. And in this year, as I mentioned also earlier, we have been certified by CAM and FAA for our platform operation. And we are impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. So we together, all of our team members here on site, we are striving to ensure that the investment is successful, the project is successful, and the project survive the pandemic. And we have also achieved our first sales in our third quarter this year to our first customer. So that is a very, very big major booster for us to ensure that sustainability of the business is there. Our service and capabilities from the photo that you can see, these are the photos of the fan blades and the platform. So one of the core services that we do is the cleaning of the titanium. So the fan blades that we receive on our site will be titanium blades, and it will go through an NDT process, it will go through an FPI process, an eddy current process, X-ray. These are all the NDT process to ensure the integrity of the blades. And we also have a CMM dimensional inspection. We have 5-axis machines on site. There is TIG and electron beam welding. So I'm a bit alien with electron beam welding. It was the first time I saw the EV welding machine. It was huge. It was exciting. It's an automated welding equipment which I've never seen before. So you set the parameters into the computers, and the machine will weld the fan blade by itself. So it's quite interesting. But that's not the end of our attractiveness in on-site. So we have other machines that are automated. Our AVNR, for example, our Siemens machines. So these are all equally contributing to our introduction of Industry 4.0 into our operation. So just a quick snapshot of what we're going to do on our site, on how we repair our facility. And please do excuse me, I can't share too much of pictures of our shop floor. It's we are restricted under the US law on sharing of technical information. So I'll just give you a snapshot of what we're going to do. Once we receive the blade, upon receiving, we'll go through different processes between cleaning into stripping, and then even through the first NDT process, the FPI, and then it goes into repair determination. This is the step where the technicians will identify what repair is supposed to be done to the particular parts or component, and then it will go through the repair process. It will go through the AVNR manual blend. It will go through another FPI to check on the integrity before it goes to final inspection. So, and my apology again, I'm not an engineer to explain to each of our processes, but this gives you a very quick snapshot of what we're going to do. This is on one of our building. It will, once it's done, it's going to be sent to our next building, where it might go through the same process again to ensure integrity is defined and assured before it is sent for shipping. So the challenges for us of acquiring or hiring a Part 145 technicians, and these are the certifying staff, the technicians, these are the positions that is required under the Aviation Authority standards. So, and these are the people who are audited, these are the people who are certified, and without certification, they cannot perform their tasks. So even though they have experience, even though they have completed their programs, if they are not certified by the Aviation Authority, they cannot perform their tasks. So to be certified, they require hours of OJT. Some spend between 300 to 600 hours before they can be tested, assessed, and qualified. And we also hire aerospace engineers from manufacturing capabilities. So this is because, as you can see from the earlier process I shared, some of these processes are similar to a manufacturing process. So we require a manufacturing engineering capability. And the key technicians are required to meet all the aviation authorities' standards and requirements. Now, most importantly, and I can't stress this well enough, is proficiency in English. So I've been in HR for 30 years, as you'll have here before. So in my 30 years, I've interviewed so many graduates, in almost all university in Malaysia, and I have yet to find very good proficiency in English among our local graduates. I'm not, obviously this is not me telling that or saying that all our graduates are not proficient in English. Some are, but most are not. So, and this we can find very apparent when we do interviews, especially for fresh graduates. So to enter the aerospace industry, you must be proficient in English. Why? Because all the processes, all the policies, all the procedures are written and read in English. And when you are being audited by the authority, you are being audited in English, not in Malay, not in Chinese, not in our local language. All right. So I can't stress enough about the importance of English in aerospace. So we have a vision, and one of the vision is to actually develop a research center for this facility. So this is different than our MRO activity. So currently we have a program with UTM on a smaller project to look into the additive process, which is currently, we started about, I think, 1 or 2 weeks ago, so which is currently ongoing. And this is the future opportunity that we will have for us in Asia, capability to develop, to go into the future engines of CFM LEAP in Pratt & Whitney, GTF, GE, GE90, GenNext, and Rolls-Royce Trent blades. So these are all the future potential that we are able to attract into Malaysia. So that is my first segment of what or who GCAN Aerospace is and what we are doing in Malaysia. So that helps to provide you with some information. And GCAN is available widely across the media. You can find us in our web page at gcanaerospace.com. You can also visit our LinkedIn and also our Facebook. We are also in Twitter, so please visit us to get to know more about what we do and our capabilities. So next, I'm going to share with you what to expect working in aerospace. And unfortunately, with the time given to me, I'm not able to share with you all that I would like to. So I am sharing with you a bit more in terms of comprehensively what to expect. And I've shared a bit about working life in aerospace earlier in my presentation during sharing with you what is GCAN Aerospace. So most importantly for fresh graduates, most importantly is to understand the difference between what is a job, what is work, what is a career, and what is employment. So some may know, some may not know, and some graduates when they leave the universities, the first thought is try to find something, right? So and obviously, as I understand, in many universities, you have been coached, you have been trained, and you have been shared. There's a lot of sessions like what I'm doing now with all of you to explain to you what to expect, right? So, but you need to understand the difference between these four words for you to put your first foot forward, right? So, you need to understand in your heart where are you going into and what it is basically. So, what is a job? So a job is pretty much the things that you do. You are an engineer, you are associates, you are an accountant, you are let me see, a human resource person, for example, and work is the actual action that you do, right? So if you are a gardener, your work is to manage the flower pot or do the gardening. But what is a gardener's career? So a gardener's career is being a gardener because that is a very short career path. So a gardener won't be able to move from starting point as a gardener into a MD gardener. No, but he can become an owner of a gardening company, right? So for an aerospace person, you need to understand these three differences for you to move yourself forward into your career. And employment is very simple. It's something that you sign for with the company when you are hired. So it binds you through a contract for employment. So it gives you what a job title is. It gives you what your salary is. It gives you the tenure of your services. All right. So please do understand the four differences on your first step forward. And this is interestingly something that I find quite glaring in many of my interviews, where graduates, they are not sure where they want to go or what they want to do, right? So it reminds me of four graduates that I interviewed back in early 2000, and from a university at the northern part of our peninsula. And when I asked all the four graduates, and these are female graduates, so and they gave me a very startling answer. I remember one of them told me that, Azli, once I graduated, I'm not going to work. I'm going to get married. I said, okay. So you spend 4 years and you're going to get married. Fine. So the second graduate, she told me, well, Azli, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, so I'm going to stick with my parents first for a couple of months, then I'll make a decision. So I said, okay, you had 4 years of studying to prepare yourself, but you still haven't decided, so that's fine. And the third graduate, when I asked her, she told me, I'm not going to work, I'm going to run a business. So my family have a business which I'm going to support. I'm going to run the business. So I said, okay, so your parents has invested so much in you for the last 4 years, and you choose to run a business. I said, okay. And the last graduate, when I asked her, she told me that before she answered my question, she actually asked me first. So she asked me, "Can you hire me?" So I told her, "I'm not sure because I was put in a position I was not able to answer, unfortunately." So I told her I'm not sure, and she asked me a question again. She said, "If I can't be an engineer, what can I be?" So I told her that, if you have decided in yourself to pursue an engineering path, then you should know where it starts. So an engineering path starts from the bottom. So if you look at the bottom part of an engineering career, it doesn't start from an engineer, it starts from the technicians, right? So this is how I explained to the lady. So I said, look, if you can't find an engineering job, you can start from the bottom. So it doesn't hurt you because it actually helps you a lot. Because if you know how the bottom works, you can easily manage how the top works. So and I am happy to say that after many years later, I met the lady again in a conference somewhere, I remember, and she was an engineer with a reputable company. So I was happy to see that she actually followed through her flight plan, right? So in you need to decide what is your flight plan, where do you want to go, what do you want to achieve. So this is most important because you need to do what you want to do and what you like to do, not what you have to do. All right. So most people or most graduates, they choose the path of do the things that they have to do because they have no choice. I have to do this because I've been applying for 10 jobs. I didn't get a job, so I'll just do this. But that is because you do not have a flight plan. You should have a plan. So for those who are graduating in 1 or 2 years, you should have your flight plan now, not upon graduation. Upon graduation, it's already too late, my friends. Okay. So the aerospace path, how to understand the aerospace path? First, most importantly, you need to understand these few factors. One is to understand the industry scope. What is aerospace? So as I shared with you before, aerospace is one of my wish list in my career. So I wanted to do aerospace because it is a sexy industry for me. Sexy in the sense that it has the technology, it has the challenges, it has the innovation, it has the future. So and that is the top of my wish list. So you need to understand what the scope is. So aerospace covers anything that flies above ground to the space. So the vehicle that propels you from above ground to the space covered under aerospace. So everything that got to do with the vehicle is covered under this scope of the industry. So things like obviously aeroplanes, things like fighter jets, things like drones, for example, are all covered under this, satellites and so on. And then you need to understand the sectors of aerospace itself. So you have the civilian sector, we have the commercial aircraft, and then you have the defense sector, and you have the space sector. So you need to understand which sector suits you, which sector that you wanted to do, and which sector that you can do well. Right? And once you have understand the sector, you need to understand the operation of each particular sector. For example, if you were to take the commercial aviation, the operation of the commercial aviation starts from the airliners. So you have the airlines, people like AirAsia, like Mars, like Malindo, like all the other airlines, and then you have the airport operations, you have the hangar operations, and then you have the MRO operations. But behind that, you have the people who manufactures the components, the parts, the airframes, and so on. So that is for the commercial operations. But then again, if you look at into defense sector, for example, it provides different kind of operations, and most of the defense operations are classified because the nature of the product itself, and it gives you a different challenges, it gives you a different perspective, it gives you a different way of doing things, right? So understanding the sectors and the operation will bring you down to what the job function is. So in early this year, early in 2019, when I first started interviewing for the GCAN Aerospace in Malaysia, we did a a major recruitment in Johor Bahru, and there's about 500 applicants who came. And to my surprise, I met graduates from Russia, graduates from Poland, from France, from North America, and these are our Malaysian graduates who have been sent to these countries to study in various parts of aviation program or aerospace program. Right? So I met graduate who studied avionics. I met graduate who studied rocket propellant. I met graduate who studied engine constructions, and obviously I met graduate who studied airframes, for example. So if by looking at my statistics, Malaysia should be able to build our own aircraft, right? So because we have that many graduates who have been exposed and taught to the different field of aerospace, and the challenges which I see in these graduates that they are not able to understand the job functions within the aerospace operation field. So they started applying for roles which does not suited to them. For example, if I were to take the example of the rocket propellant graduate, well, we are an MRO facility and we don't have a rocket technology here, right? But then he tried. While I appreciated the try and I really recommended him, unfortunately, I see that he did not manage to plan himself well. So, he should be trying to people like PSF, to people like NASA, for example, or the Japan Space Agency, or the Malaysian Space Agency, but not to an MRO facility. Okay. So this is something that you have to look into when you open your door to see the work opportunity, to understand what exactly you are supposed to apply for, and then look into the industry outlook. So at the moment, doesn't look very well due to the COVID-19. A lot of aircraft being parked. This is for commercial aviation, so people don't fly, aircraft don't fly. So it's doesn't look good. But I'll come to that a bit later in my presentation on the outlook. But it is important for you to see how the industry performs before you enter, because it might be a good venture, it might not be a good adventure. So something important to look into. And then you need to map your career. Starting as an engineer, you need to know where you're going to end. So I started my career in HR as a clerical staff back in 1990, and in 30 years, I'm now the HR director of an aerospace company. So did I plan my career growth? The answer is yes. When in my first 3 years of a clerical duty, I wanted to become a HR executive. Why? Because in my days, being an executive is something which is actually very, very exciting. You are someone that people respected, and something for a young person very, very exciting. So which I pursued, and I managed to obtain my objective in 4 years. And after that, I set another objective. And I know when I look at the HR career plan, in 1990s, the senior most position in HR is actually HR manager. And then as the world moves, the career grows, the scope grows, the map actually grows bigger. So and I studied every development in the HR world to understand how I should change my map as I move along. Right. So you need to see how your career field develops and grows, for you to understand how you can build your map. And then you need to understand your industry resources, what's available to you for you to grow in your own field. So networking is obviously very, very important. You need to understand the availability of information, the availability of training, the availability of skill building in your particular areas. So this is very, very important, because you cannot graduate from UTM and then you do not continue education anymore, because then you are not developing yourself, right? So development is also self-driven. So you need to be able to understand what resources are available for you. All right, so aerospace expectation. Aerospace is a different industries in many ways, in my perspective. As I shared, I've been through various industries in my HR lifetime, and while other industries, obviously due to the distinct differences, they do have different expectations, but aerospace is always something that is very, very significant in terms of change. Why? Because aerospace is pretty much first about safety. That's the reason why I put safety mindset top of the line. All right, so you don't want to be in an aircraft where you are not sure whether the aircraft is safe to fly or not, right? So you expect the aircraft is safe to fly. So when I attended my familiarization program in Sweden, I was asked by the engine's CEO about being in aerospace. So our CEO, his name is Mr. Joachim Anderson. So Joachim asked me, he said, Azli, do you know the difference between an MRO facility and a car repair facility? That's how he made the distinction. So I told him, well, it's between an aircraft and a car. He told me no. Actually, when you go to a car repair shop and you come out, if something wrong with the car, you can stop by the roadside. Right? But once you take an aircraft from its MRO facility and you fly, if something goes wrong, you'll go down. So safety is the most key criteria in any aerospace activities. So, and this is the first thing that you must have in your mindset. Second is to have the knowledge of the industry. Know what is aviation, know what is aerospace, know what is related industries and services. So this helps a lot when you talk to aviation people, because when you talk about aircraft, we don't talk about aircraft, talk about engines, they talk about the wings, they talk about the avionics and so on. So you need to know the lingo, you need to understand the language that we use. And again, English proficiency. So why is it number 3, not number 1? Now that I put it there, because you have heard from me why safety is important. And English again, and I'm stressing for the second time now. It is very, very, very important, because aerospace, aviation is all about English, right? So pilots fly across continents, across countries. They communicate to control towers that belongs to other countries, and they don't speak in Arabic, they don't speak in Chinese, they don't speak in Japanese, they don't speak in Malay, they speak in English, right? So when you send the aircraft engineer, when they test the aircraft, when they go across countries and so on, they'll be meeting other people in other countries, and they'll be talking in English. But that is not the most reason why English is important. The most important reason is because all your procedures, your policies, your guidelines, your SOP is in English, right? Because you are being audited by, as I mentioned earlier, by people like FAA, by EASA, and all of these SOP are in English. So if you are not able to explain to the auditors how you do your stuff in English, then they have reservation of how competent you are in your job, right? So please be reminded again that how important English is. And then innovativeness. So in 100 years or so, if you look back at the history of flight and how Wilbur flew his aircraft about 100 years ago, and where we are now with the advent of autonomous aircraft, with the advent of drones and so on, it's amazing how far we have achieved in 100 years. Now, imagine this. What's going to happen in the next 100 years? Right? So we've watched movies like Star Trek, Star Wars, and all the other sci-fi movies, and some of those technology are now being used in aerospace, like ion engine propulsion, for example. So I remember the ion engine back in the Star Wars story, right? So now I saw in NASA they are developing the ion engine for the rocket. So future is highly interesting in the next 50 to 100 years, right? And being in this generation, you need to be innovative. You need to have the innovation mindset. You need to know what's going to happen next. You need to know what are the next game changer. And commitment. So obviously, safety and commitment works well together. You need to be committed to ensure that you do your task well and you perform well and you meet the requirement. And modularity. So modulation is something that is new in the last 20 years. It means that you are able to move around, change easily, right? And next is mobility. When I joined GK Aerospace, I was told by Fergus Lopez that Azli, aerospace is about traveling. So you're to travel a lot, and that's what I did in 2019. I travel a lot. So mobility is also important, and this is something which I find quite stucking in Malaysian graduates because we tend not to explore the world. We tend to be in Malaysia. So please, try to give more opportunity to explore opportunities outside Malaysian border. Interpersonal skills and networking overseas is very, very important. This is where your teamwork sets in. This is where your global capability sets in. This is where how you interact with people from other cultures, other countries sets in. Right? Okay, so what does the future bring? So I'll give it a very, very quick and a very short sharing to this. Yes, there are aircraft now parked at the airport or at the hangars, but pandemic will go away. Humans, we have faced a lot of crises in the last few thousand years, and we always survive, right? So COVID-19 will not be different. It will fly away. It will go away one day, and when it does, and the airplanes will fly. And you need to see the opportunity that this brings. Once it has turned around, you're going to see a lot of opportunity in aerospace comes up very, very sharply. I'll say in the next 2 to 3 years, the industry will turn around very, very quickly. All right. So that is my presentation for you today. With the time given, I'm so sorry. I'm supposed to give about maybe 10 minutes time for question and answers. So I hand this over back to Professor Amy.
Thank you so much, Mr. Azli. I know that you got a lot of things to share with us today, actually, and then very interesting. Don't worry. I think it's a very good motivation and to drive the students for them to have more focus. As you said, that they have to plan their future. They have to have a right flight plan, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is a good eye opener to the students because they have to expect what unexpected and also to plan what we're going to expect for the future actually. Yeah, Cik Azli, maybe we wait while waiting for some question from the viewers. Uh, yeah, I'm very interesting to hear that. Yeah, some of the students they are actually a bit glaring, not sure what they want to do. So is that because of they choose a wrong program or lost interest in their program? So what do you think from your experience interviewing most of the students? Yeah, that you've been experienced.
Well, that actually going to be very, very long discussion. So I just try to
Yeah,
make it very, very short.
yeah.
And as I said, I have found this over the last 20 to 30 years, and it's the same
Hmm.
cultural issues that we are facing. We have graduates who are not sure of what they are supposed to do, and
Mm-hmm.
we have graduates who once graduated they go into something else, which is actually a loss to the university, a loss to the
Mm.
country, a loss to the parents themselves, because the parents paid a lot for their children's education.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm not going to blame any party to this. What I can say is that in most situations, students did not do a very, very good background check of the field that they choose. So when they choose the field of study in the application, they fail to do a background check what that study provides. And this is something which I believe, Professor, that should be addressed at the school level, not at the university level. So
Starting from the school level, right?
exactly. This is something which the Western countries do. In US, for example, in the lower grades, they are taught about career. They have a
Mm.
career day on monthly basis where they invite
Mm.
people, the father, for example, to come to talk about what they do. So, but this is not available in our Malaysian education system.
Yeah, because I like to recall back. You said, "Do what you like to do." Actually, yeah. So meaning to say that we need. to develop interest. What do you like to do actually? Yeah. Yeah. For example, like Mr. Azli, you start with the financial, right? Maybe you don't know much about this engineering, and now you're doing aerospace. So because you have your own plan, so for me, regardless of your background, because you have the interest in that area, even we talk about aerospace, maybe 20% is aerospace engineer, but you need to have a mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, software engineer working with the company, right?
Right.
So this is the thing, that something we need to give advice to the student, that the aerospace is the technology, automotive is the technology, right? But in that technology, we need a lot of engineers, not just automotive engineer. For example, we need mechanical, electrical, electronics, things like that, right? So, but you have
Yeah.
to put your plan, yeah, what you want to be.
Yeah, and in my sharing area, I mentioned something about modularity. So
Yeah,
modularity means that
modularity. Yeah, yes.
you need to be able to adjust yourself to your situation. So by doing so, you need to learn new stuff, right? So for example, like
Yeah,
mechanical engineer, for him to move up to be an engineering manager, for example, he needs to
right.
understand electrical, he needs to understand electronics, and he needs to understand other parts of maintenance. So if he's just a
Yeah.
mechanical engineer without any additional field of study in him, he'll be challenged to actually successful in his role.
Yeah. So somehow we have to have a, or we call it a multidiscipline mindset, where you involve in design, where you need to combine all these many engineering field to come up with one good product, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and Professor, we are working with the young generation. I won't say young, right? This is the different generation. So in this generation, they are holding they have in their hands a phone which has a lot of
Yeah.
applications, right?
That's
So
right.
the
Yeah.
question is, if you have so many applications, why are you just adjusting yourself to one particular field of study?
Right. Yes. Yeah. Uh, we have one question, Mr. Azli from Amira Maddaud. Uh, what your opinion, either Malaysia is ready to launch our own rockets from our land soil?
I have that dream many years back.
Yes. People
When I
start
was
with dreams, right?
when I was at TT Electronic in Kuantan, I was there for 6 years. TT Electronic provides product to the Mars rover program. So I was super
Master
excited,
program.
and I had a dream that one day, while Malaysia may not be able to develop a Mars rover program, at least Malaysia can start with a rocket program, because I don't find that very difficult and challenging. Why? Because as I said earlier, we have actually sent our students across the globe to study all this field
Mm.
of studies in space technology. So yes, the answer is yes, we can, because we have the talents, we have the capabilities. We just need the
We have the resources.
direction from the government. Yes.
Yes, we have resources. How to basically to coordinate, to consolidate all these resources, right? To manage, yeah.
Yes.
Then the management is very important. How to manage the people? I know it's going to be very difficult, yeah, Mr. Azli.
Yes. As I
We
said,
have one. Yeah, yes.
go ahead, Professor.
Yeah. We have one more question, Mr. Azli, from Nor Akmal Fadil. The questions like this: once the pandemic ended, in what specific area related to aerospace will become most important?
Thank you, Akmal. That's a very good question, and unfortunately, it's very easy for me to answer. It's like
Interesting.
it's just like your car, for example. Right? So when we are in our lockdown in March, and for 3 months we don't use our car, So when the second lockdown was imposed and we are in PKPB and you can now start to be able to drive, the first thing you do was to send your car to a car repair shop to be serviced, right? So the same thing will apply to the aircraft. So before the aircraft is allowed to fly, they need to be tested, assessed, and then need to be repaired. So in all aircraft, they have the different period of servicing from the avionics all the way to the engines. So yes, that will be the first business to be boom, and that is the
Yes.
MRO.
Yeah. Yeah.
So next is actually the airline. So once the aircraft has been services, the airlines can operate at 100%.
Yeah, and because I was thinking of that because when you share with us a field of airplane park, yeah, in the very wide space, so then I think that there are things will be damaged, yeah,
Yeah.
during the parking season, right? So then
Yes.
all everything need to be checked, right, and to be, yeah, make it zero life, something like that, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Azli, thank you very much because we have running out of time, but we still have one question. Probably, I think we quite interesting question here from Jonathan Ting. We will entertain the question, Mr. Azli. So, what are your thoughts on Boeing next models? Boeing 737 Max to be exact. Yeah. What did they do wrong with their design? Yeah, this is about this. Yeah, maneuver stability augmentation system.
Thank you. So I think that there's two part of this question. The first is actually, and I'm sorry to thank to Jonathan for the question. The first part is what do I think about Boeing's next plane, right? So and then the second question goes to what I think about 737 Max. So Boeing's next plane is actually the big wing aircraft concept, the Boeing 797, if I'm not mistaken. So this is the big wing concept. And I find that very because the aircraft looks very weird to me. This is different than your normal aircraft design. So this is your big wing design, replicating the design of the American V type aircraft many years ago. But that aircraft is based on new materials used in the aircraft structures to make the aircraft very light. So I'm so sorry I'm not the aircraft engineer, so I can't tell you what's so exciting about the 797. But yeah, that is the next to go online in Boeing. Back to the 737 Max, what was the issue with the aircraft? If you to study the FAA report that has been made published, there are a lot of contributing factors here. And in any aircraft aviation, and I'm one of those people who like to watch the aircraft aviation program, you find that it all centered into human factor. It's all human error, right? So how they push the program to be completed earlier, how they create the computer program that's supposed to support the pilot, not to replace the pilot, right? Which has error in the program itself, and how the FAA themselves failed to identify this flaw during the planning phase. So a lot of contributing factor contributed into the 737 flaw.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Azli, for that explanation. We have one more question, probably a last question from Murni Haryanti. Career management is a must if we expect to gain maximum success and happiness from the hours we invest in work. Do you have any tips how to improve our career development, Mr. Azli? This is the HR question, Mr. Azli.
Thank you very much. In all the job fairs that I attended, that I hosted, majority graduates going to ask me about pay. Right? So people will ask me, how much are you going to pay me, right? So and that always brings me down because the first thing that the graduate sees is always money. And that is a wrong perspective of planning. you don't plan money first. You plan the position first. Money will come together with it. Don't worry, right?
Yep.
So, what do you think a CEO earns in a year? A CEO earns like between 500,000 to 1 million a year, and that benefit comes to him together with his position. So you need to plan positions rather than look at what I'm going to get paid,
Salary.
right? So if you were to start as an engineer, for example, ask yourself, where do you want to end? Who do you want to be? So if you tell yourself, I'm going to be an engineering manager in 10 years' time, then you look at what does the title pays. Does it pay you 5,000 ringgit, 10,000 ringgit, 20,000 ringgit? And then you need to see what's next after that particular post. So after attaining an engineering manager, what's next for you?
Yeah.
So in our career, there's a two pathway. One is our technical pathway. Second is our management pathway. So a technical pathway will bring you to become a specialist. So you become an engineering specialist, right? So you'll be a very specialized avionics engineer, but that's it. You cannot become an MD in avionics engineer. So to
Yeah.
become the CEO, you need to move away from technical pathway to move into the management pathway. You need to start to become a manager, to become a GM, to become a director, and then to become a CEO, for example. So you need to study these two pathways for you to define what is best for you.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the second part you see that the management part, yeah. So I mean, it play the same perspective if you are going to non-technical target positions.
In businesses, when you move from your technical role to a management role, it makes you a business leader,
Yeah, business
not a
leader.
technical leader. But you bring with you your technical expertise.
I see. Yeah, but we have some experience that people background with financial economic, but they still can manage the engineering company well. Yeah.
They do, and
Yeah.
I was asked once, why don't I become an MD? So so the answer is yes, because once you reach a certain level of management, you will be taught of the different field of the business itself.
Yeah.
So you'll be taught of the operation, the production, the supply chain, the procurement, and so on. So in the end, you are being prepared to lead the business. So yes, a HR manager, an accountant,
Yeah.
or a logistics manager can be the CEO of the company.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Azli. I think we have a great question. Yeah, I think we need to entertain this one more question. Malaysia has a lot
Okay.
of parts, 145 maintenance, but lack of part 21 design company. So, what can university, industry, and government do to establish more part 21 types company? Yeah, very good question. I think. Yeah.
Thank you. So I need to go further back, maybe 10, 20 years back, going back to our aerospace blueprint that Malaysia developed, or the previous Prime Minister Tun Mahathir develops. That was his vision actually. So the Malaysian aerospace blueprint was designed, planned to develop the aerospace industry in Malaysia. So the answer to your question has hinged a lot on that blueprint actually, which was not materialized unfortunately. So to
Fully
drive
implemented.
exactly to drive that, it needs the support of the government. They
Yep.
need to grow and develop the local suppliers, the local vendors, and also to get the new investment in. So without these three parties together, you wouldn't be able to do much at university level.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the right answer. Yeah. Okay. We need the holistic plan for the nation for the aerospace industry. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you,
Correct.
Oi, for the question. Thank you, Mr. Azli, for the inspiration answer. So, what we need to do next? I think we have things to do, and I think a lot of things to do in order to develop our nation as a design development service maintenance for the aerospace industry. So for that, Mr. Ali, thank you so much. We're running out of time. Maybe I can see you later next in the future. because you have more things to share with us despite your very busy schedule. Thank you so much. I managed to grab you today. And I believe that it will be benefit for our students, staff, alumni, and our community as well. And to all viewers, thank you so much for your passion and keep interest with our program. And I think I would like pass to Mr. Azli if you would like to say something before we end the program.
I would like to thank Professor Suhaimi for the opportunity given to me to share my knowledge and experience to the viewers, to the participants, to the students. And I wish Merry Christmas to all celebrating Christmas coming in, and a Happy New Year to all. I hope that everybody will stay safe, keep safe, stay healthy, and maintain our SOP, and hope for your success in the future. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So to all our viewers, please wait to our upcoming webinar. Stay safe, stay healthy, and please don't forget to like and share our program. And have a good day. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye bye.